R&B diva, Sue Ann Carwell. She's up next. Let's talk. All right. What's up, everybody? Welcome back over here to another episode of Pepe's Point of View, and I'm yours truly, Pepe. Let's go ahead on and get it started, shall we? Talking about R&B diva Sue Ann Carwell, and this is my first time actually even hearing the name Sue Ann Carwell. I had no idea. I didn't know anything about this particular R&B diva. Of course, social media, you're watching some videos, music videos. I am rather, posting videos, so on and so forth. Sue Ann Carwell shows up as a recommended artist to listen to. And I was very intrigued by the album cover that was for this particular song. I'm looking at the album cover and I'm saying this is very late 80s, early 90s type of, album cover. I wonder what this is about. Or I wonder what she's about. And I clicked on, of course, the video. It was the song was called Here For You. I listened to it enough that it sparked my interest. I'm like, I wonder what she's about. And I started to listen to her album, Pain Iller. For the sake of YouTube and all the algorithms and all of that stuff, I'm not saying the actual title of the album, but just say Pain Iller. I'll say it that way. Now, before I get into this particular diva, I want to just simply say that I like that I'm doing this deep dive that I'm doing now with these particular R&B divas, because I'm noticing something with the R&B divas that I'm listening to now, as far as like the upcoming videos. I'm learning that I'm noticing there's a particular theme with these divas. And I'm also realizing that my thinking, my mind frame, of course, has been narrow-minded. And I am expanding, this whole thing that we call entertainment. That there's more to it than meets the eye. I give you a prime example, and then we're going to discuss Sue Ann Carwell. You want to stick around for this, because I'm here to tell you, I've learned a lot, and I want to share it with you. I really do. 20, 30 years ago, if you were an aspiring artist or you were already in the business some form of fashion, whether if you was a musician, a background singer, somewhere or another, and you were in the process of seeking an album or a record deal, or wanted to record an album, you put together a package, so on and so forth. You're shopping to different record companies, maybe different managers, producers, what have you, in order to secure the record deal, right? And let's just say you'll do a demo of your talent, whether if you're, musician and you just wanted to be, let's just say, a jazz artist, or you were a singer who, you just said, okay, I just need to record my voice, right? And put myself out there and let them hear me. It's not really as cut and dry like we think it should be. I know. You remember the video that I did with Phyllis Hyman talking about the back and forth that Phyllis and Clive went through, okay, as far as trying to make her into this R&B diva. Well, take that back, this pop diva, right? And let's just say she had a strong sense of herself and how she wanted to be seen, how she wanted to, what kind of music I guess she wanted to record and what kind of diva she saw herself as. And of course, Clive Davis saw her in a particular light as well. The same thing with Mickey Howard. I recall Mickey Howard saying, that she and Sylvia Ron was going back and forth about what kind of R&B diva she should become, right? Whew. And so you find yourself not understanding how that is navigated. Do you understand what I'm saying? We don't. The record buying public, we don't. So for an artist such as Sue Ann Carwell, I'm listening to her for the first time, and I have to admit, there are certain things just listening to her second album, I think it's her second album, Pain Iller, I'm saying to myself, like, this is all wrong. There's just so many facets to this that I'm saying, no. Okay? So follow me. I'm going to make this last comment, and then we're going to discuss Sue Ann Carwell. Jody Watley is the only artist that I can recall, and I'm pretty sure there are some out there, but she's the only artist that I can recall who, from my understanding, when she was embarking on her solo career, she knew what kind of diva she wanted to be. Okay, I don't think she left it up to the record companies. If I'm not mistaken, she showed up already with some tracks already recorded, right? And some of those songs made her solo debut album. She already had an idea of, her image, how she wanted to be seen. If I'm not mistaken, I think she even presented these things to the record company and said, hey, this is how I want to look, so on and so forth. She already had this already laid out for them, okay? I guess in her case, maybe they agreed with what she, brought to them, and they was like, okay, this can work, and they pretty much tailored everything around what she already brought to the table. Most R&B divas, most soul men or pop divas or whatever you want to call it, they're probably not thinking along these lines. It's more like, hey, I sound good, but I have no image. Do you understand what I'm saying? Like, there's just so many tricks and bells and whistles that has to, be brought to the forefront. And a person such as myself now, I think I'm getting it and understanding it, because at the end of the day, it is a business. You guys already know, if you watch me enough to know, that sometimes when I think about executives in the business, that's the first thing that I will be probably the person that go through that back and forth with the executives, like, and the executive is saying, like, no, we need to do this, like, And I was just reading over here Faith Evans' book, right? Faith Evans' book, Keep the Faith. Puffy was saying the same thing to her, like, hey, you might need to get a tan. You're just a little too, light. You might want to go and, kind of tan up a little bit. You might want to do these things, so on and so forth, right? But a person would probably look at that like, no, you trying to change me. You know what I'm saying? But I am trying to sell records and sell an image. It's all about an image now. It really isn't about you. Right? I guess I'm kind of getting that and understanding what that's like. You understand? It is what it is. I understand. What I'm saying to everyone at this moment in time is that I'm the pieces to the puzzle is coming together, is what I'm saying. So without further ado, let's talk Sue Ann Carwell. Well, the first thing I have to say, it's the name. I'm sorry, Sue Ann. It's the name, baby. It's the name. You know, I can understand now why someone, a manager or a record company would say, we need to change your name. Sue Ann Carwell. Really? Sue Ann Carwell? I understand, but it doesn't click. Like I'm listening to it and I'm like, it doesn't, it's your name. And, you know, it's your name. I think it's your government name. So it's fine. I understand that your parents named you that name. But I would say change your name. Sue Ann Carwell just sounds so everyday random. Like there's nothing, there's no glitz to it. You know, it's nothing that attracts people to you, you know. So that would be the first thing that I noticed about listening to her. Okay. The second thing that came up, I was listening to, well, now let's go back to the album cover. I was looking at the album cover and I was like, oh, okay. And then it could be the single for the song. So I'm listening to it and I'm like, oh, okay. So then when I was looking at I saw the name, saw the album cover, and then I looked and when I listened to the album, the first song, I'm like, huh? And I think the song was called, let's just say, X or Love, right? So when I'm listening to the song X or Love, like, this is very, very like early 90s with this particular album. It's an early 90s type of vibe. I don't know why I'm thinking of, I don't want to call it New Jack Swing. It could be, but it looks like she's in the 1991, maybe 1992, pushing it a little bit 1993, but she's in that era of releasing this particular album, I think. The only artist I could think of right now for me would be Changing Faces. If you had Changing Faces' first album, then you could kind of understand what I'm thinking about. If you are maybe a fan of certain DJs back in the day, this time, maybe like DJ Eddie Elf and those guys, then you'll kind of understand where I'm going with this particular album. So when I'm looking at the cover and I'm listening to the album and I'm saying these two don't even match. It doesn't. To me, this album, the production is not slouch. The production is not a slouch at all. It's not. The vocals are not bad. The image is not bad. It just does not come together, right? You see her and you thinking you're going to get this smooth diva like that could probably put you in the mind of, I don't know, who's back in the day. I'm just throwing out random artists, you know, like maybe like Allison Williams, of course, A'ngela Winbush, you know, the Mickey Howard, the Lisa Fishers. Like you're thinking that this is probably what you are about to get from her, something in that lane. You don't. So when you're starting to get these hip hop tracks from her, I'm like, I don't like this. I don't like this for her. And so then by the time I get to the second song on the album called 7 Days and 7 Nights, I'm like, something about this just, what is going on? Like this is not right for her. And I'm trying to figure it out. There's no really album credits that I could find at the time. So I'm listening to it like, okay, this something is, I'm listening to the song and I'm like, this reminds me of something. This reminds me of something. She reminds me of someone. This album reminds me of someone. And as I'm listening to it, and I'm almost in the middle of the song, 7 Days and 7 Nights, it clicks. She is almost like a female version of Aaron Hall. I was like, this is Aaron Hall. Listen to the second single, 7 Days and 7 Nights. I'm like, this is Aaron Hall. I was like, this is Guy. This is Guy. This album is like Aaron Hall Guy. Which then I'm looking at the album cover still, and I'm saying this is not clicking. Her name is not clicking with the, with me. The image is not clicking with the production of the album. And now this sound I'm hearing sounds familiar to me. And I'm saying this is Aaron Hall. So now I'm trying to put the pieces together. I'm trying to find some credits to see who she's worked with this album. And guess what ends up happening? I told y'all, I'm good. I need to start getting myself more credit, right? So I'm like, MCA Records. It's like, this makes sense. So this album is released on MCA Records. Of course, Guy is on MCA Records. And I'm like, this makes sense. This makes sense now that I'm putting these pieces together and how it is that I'm coming up with Guy. And for the most part, the whole album, here's how I am going with this album in with Sue Ann Carwell. To me, there's this back and forth. Now I'm forcing myself to like this album. Okay? But I'm forcing myself to like this album. Not that it's a bad album. I have to repeat. Production is on point. Vocals are on point. Everything's great. But it's like the sound is drowning out her voice. And guess what she's doing? She is singing her behind off. But it's like you're saying to yourself, this is not her. I'm like, Sue Ann Carwell, this is not you, baby. The image is, so now I'm going back and forth trying to figure out who she is. Like, I'm trying to figure out what lane is she in as far as an R&B diva. So I'm looking at her, and then I'm thinking about the time, and I'm saying, ooh, Shantae Moore. Like, she's a Shantae Moore. This is Shantae Moore. I'm listening to her vocals. I'm like, okay, I can see her, toning this down because the album cover is more of like a sexy vibe, So I'm like, ooh, she's Shantae Moore. And that's where I'm going with it. But I'm trying to make it work in my head, but it's not really clicking because I'm still trying to visualize everything, right? And you guys, I tell you, I get to the title track, Painkiller, right? I get to the title track. I'm listening to it. You guys, tell me why on this particular album, the title track is the one that stands out to me the most when it comes to Sue Ann Carwell. And I am saying, to me, this lady is straight up Prince. Like, this is Prince. Like, I hear this Prince sound coming out of her. And she is singing like she is singing from the good. I mean, I'm saying to myself, like, I wonder what it's like what it would be like for this lady to be like standing toe to toe with Prince, like on a stage, because this track is so Prince this lady is like, she is comfortable there. Like she is singing. I mean, she's singing ugly. You know what I'm saying? Like this is you could tell she's cute and she's attractive and she's sexy. You know what? It's almost, I'm going to tell you, this is what I'm going to say. I'm not shaming anybody, but this is like Sheila E. on steroids. Okay? Like really. Like I'm saying, like this is where, this to me is my favorite song on the album. And I am saying, like, this lady definitely needs to get funky with it. Like that's where she belongs. She belongs, like she's funky. You know what I'm saying? She's straight up funk. Not funk, funk. She funk, right? And it's unfortunate that, you know, all of these things just does not seem to come together for her as far as the making of an R&B diva, you know. And now I kind of get that, like, okay, you fit here. Oh, but that's not me. That's not what I want to do. And then some people can come knowing who they are. And it's like, yeah, but we see you in this lane. And this is where you need to be. You know, so it's this thing, isn't it so complicated? And here this lady is, I'm pretty sure she's talented. I think she had an album out in the early 80s. So I still maybe have an album or two to listen to by her and to discover more of who she is. I think I have came across something that says she is affiliated with Prince somehow or another. So I'm sure I'm going to find that out. But that's where she is. And if she's affiliated with Prince, that's her lane. And it is what it is. You know, it's sad to see. And I'm noticing now this trend with these particular divas I'm covering right now, who, you know, you go and you have to stop and ask yourself, like, wow, it looks like it was trying to align, and then it went like, you see what I'm saying? It went all over the place. It's like, what is this? Like, why is this not lining up? You know, it's sad. But here's the good part about this. Sue Ann Cardwell, I get to talk about her, right? She showed up. I've discovered her, you know, and I like it. It's not to say that the album is bad. My thing is that if you're listening to it open-minded now, you can see all of the things that look like worked and didn't work, and it's just what it is. But tell me what you think. That I totally miss it, you know, but I don't think I did. It's a great album. Go out and listen to it. It just doesn't gel together, you know, for her as far as an R&B diva is concerned. But the album is good. It's good. It's very much of the time. I'm sure you guys will probably, you know, like a lot of tracks on the album. It's just, for me, Pain Iller. That's the one that's my go-to. And I'm here to tell you, I put it already in rotation. I mean, you know, she put her funk on it. You understand what I'm saying? Well, if you reach this part of my commentary, then I say it's very much appropriate for me to say, hey, hang out with me, talking about R&B divas over here. Still reading Gladys Knight. Oh gosh, Gladys Knight book here, Between Each Line of Pain and Glory. I'm still reading it. I'm trying to do Gladys Wright. Okay. So I'm still reading that book. Make sure you go out and get the copy of Joyce Venerella Irby's I Still Say Yes. Joyce Venerella Irby of Climax. Faith Evans. Make sure you go out and get her book as well. Keep the faith. It is what it is. All right. And over here, I believe in putting your behind where your heart desires to be. So I hope you guys are doing that. And also remember, Whenever I leave my mother's presence, she always says to me, she says, baby, remember, I love you, but God loves you best. And I love you guys out there. I hope you also are loving yourself, because I know that's what I'm doing over here. You know, I'm loving myself. I'm appreciating myself, and I'm putting all that appreciation back out. Yes, so I can get more. All right. So I thank you guys so much for tuning in over here. And check out R&B Diva Sue Ann Carwell. And I look forward to seeing you next video. Until then, you guys know what to do. Take care of yourselves. All right.